In a previous video, we've discussed how you can assess the quality of an academic publication. In this video, we will discuss the question how you can find relevant literature for your research project. When students need to search for academic literature, for instance to write a theoretical framework for a paper, they often start by using an online search engine such as Google Scholar. We recommend caution when it comes to using online search engines, and we will explain why. In a previous video, we've shown you how you can look up the number of citations a publication has received in the Social Science Citation Index on the Web of Science. Now you might ask, why would you go through all this trouble if you could easily look up the number of citations in Google Scholar? Let's try out the same search for Robert Putnam's article, Diplomacy and Domestic Politics. Again, the number of 1900 appears when we carry out this search in the Web of Science. Now let's search for Putnam's article on Google Scholar. You see the difference? Almost 6,000 extra citations are listed than in the Web of Science. Why do you think this is the case? Why does Google Scholar generate a higher citation count than the Web of Science? Pause the video while you think about the answer. Welcome back. Just a moment ago, we performed two searches for Robert Putnam's article, Diplomacy and Domestic Politics, one in the Web of Science and one in Google Scholar. We observed that the number of citations listed for this article in Google Scholar was much higher than the number listed in the Web of Science. Why is this the case? Simply put, the citations listed in the Web of Science database are restricted to academic articles and books. Google Scholar counts every single mention to a publication posted online. Many of these references will be from other academic publications, but a lot of them will also derive from other sources, such as unpublished papers, conference announcements, blog posts, non-academic books, and what have you. We refer to these sources as gray literature. Since not all of these mentions really count as citations, you should take the overall citation count mentioned on Google Scholar with a grain of salt. There is another reason why you should not rely too much on search engines like Google Scholar, and that is because of the way these search engines operate. This is what the sociologist Andrew Abbott has to say about online searches in his book Digital Paper. Internet searching is based on actual words rather than on the concepts those words denote. It makes the radical assumption that words are identical with concepts. One word, one concept. But, as Abbott points out, when we do research, this is almost never the case. Take a concept like democracy, for instance, which has a great many other aspects. This fairly basic way of searching is the reason why, according to Abbott, online searches often render so many useless results. And I quote Abbott here, "That is because you are looking for concepts and ideas, while the internet is just giving you words." End of quote. In other words, whereas we as academics see many relationships between a keyword and the concept it describes, the internet just sees the word. To solve this problem, some libraries and other organizations use a controlled vocabulary. A controlled vocabulary is simply put an official list of keywords that organize and link together subjects in a particular way. These are very useful when there are multiple keywords and synonyms to describe a subject, which a simple search does not take into account. A famous example of a controlled vocabulary is the Library of Congress's subject headings. If we take the word democracy, for instance, we do not only see related terms listed, such as representative democracy or deliberative democracy, but we also see consideration of narrow terms and synonyms. Online search engines such as Google Scholar, but also the University Library's online catalog, do not use such controlled vocabularies. Instead, they perform searches purely based on the words typed in the search string, and they rank order these in terms of relevance. Now you might say, if a search engine already provides me with a list of most relevant publications, isn't it doing its job well? No, Abbott says. And that is because the term relevance in the world of online search engines does not mean most important for your study, but it is an indicator of the centrality of the publication. This simply means that the most clicked on publication will appear on the top of the list. Why is that a problem, you might ask? Well, you should realize that this type of searching by relevance has a self-reinforcing tendency. Because publications are high on the list, they will be clicked on more often than those lower on the list. And those publications not as central to your search results could still be highly relevant for your own research project. Whenever you use online search engines, you should therefore be aware of the ways in which they generate their results. Better than simply performing passive searches, such as the ones described above, Abbott recommends researchers to make their own controlled vocabulary and use this as the basis for their search. In a controlled vocabulary, researchers identify around 20 important concepts and phenomena in a study, define them, and specify their relationships. To sum up, online search engines and databases have made it a lot easier to search for academic literature. But ease does not always mean that you will find the publications that are most relevant to your research project. Searching on the basis of a controlled vocabulary increases the odds of finding the best academic publications for your project. In the following video, we will give you some other practical tips on how you can best search for academic publications.